All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order February 3rd, 5 o'clock.
Call the roll. Here. Mr. Genowine.
Present.
Mr. Crandall.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Simcoe here.
All righty. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
I have none.
Okay. Hearing of the public for any agenda items only. Do we have anybody sign in, John? We have one? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Parker, do you mind if we wait till we've got you here to speak for non-agenda items only? Okay, we'll be right with you in a second. Zoning Department, Darrell?
Good evening. My first item is a zone change request for the property at 2252 Heisler Road. Scott, if you could go to, yes, that one right there with the blue squares, that'll work great. This property was originally part of a larger parcel on the corner of Heisler and Bancroft that was rezoned to C2 General Commercial in 1963. In 1969, the northern 2.1 acres of this lot were split from the original to form two new parcels fronting on Heisler Road. Those two parcels right there. In 1994, the southern parcel of these two lots was rezoned to A4 rural residential to allow the property owner to build a single-family dwelling on the lot. That's that one, the middle one. So this left the subject lot as a standalone, commercially zoned property in the midst of residential. The applicant is requesting this zone change from C2 to A4 to conform to the nearby residential properties and preserve the residential character of Heisler Road. Sylvania Township Land Use Plan advocates neighborhood commercial uses for this section of Heisler Road. While the request is not consistent with the land use plan, it is consistent with the surrounding properties and would remove the possibility of a commercial use happening amidst a single-family neighborhood. Sylvania Township zoning staff recommends approval of this zone change request from C2 General Commercial to A4 Rural Residential.
Question, could they go back to C2 down the road? Is it one bite of the apple, or can they resubmit later in a later time?
It would just be another zone change. They'd have to go through the process again.
Well, can I open up? I'll open up the public hearing. Is there anybody in attendance this evening that would like to comment on this for or against this project? Like to close the public hearing? I'll offer resolution. Any questions from our board? I'll offer resolution number 15-020 to approve a zone change from C2 to A4 residential, located at 2252 Heisler Road.
Second.
Call the roll. Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Thank you. My next item is another zone change request. This is for the rear portion of the property at 3427 McCord Road. And Scott, if you could scroll down to, it's coming up. Oh, I think we went too far. I'm sorry. All right, I'm not seeing that on there. It's the site plan. Yeah, right there. The applicant is requesting a zone change from A4 rural residential to R2 PUD residential plan unit development for the rear undeveloped 4 acres of this property located at 3427 McCord. They wish to develop a 13-lot, single-family subdivision to be known as Carytown North Plat 3. Approximately 1 acre on the east end of this parcel fronts McCord Road, and this portion of the parcel is currently zoned RA, suburban residential, and it will remain a separate parcel under a separate owner and remain zoned RA should this zone change be approved. So that's right there, and the McCord Road is right in front of it. The rear 4 acres fronting Ridgewood Trail will contain the 13 proposed lots that would measure 62-foot frontage by 150-foot depth for a total lot area of 9,300 square feet. An approximate 67-foot wide common space runs the entire length of the northern property line. And this area measures 1.3 acres and comprises 31% of the parcel. This exceeds the minimum requirement of 15% for open space. This project represents a density of 3.25 dwelling units per gross acre. Sylvania Township zoning staff recommends approval of the zone change request based on its consistency with both the density of nearby residential subdivisions as well as the recommendation of the current Sylvania Township land use plan. This recommendation of approval is predicated on the applicant meeting all of the 33 conditions outlined in Resolution 15021.
I'd like to open the public hearing in regards to 3427 North McCord. Anybody like to speak on behalf, pros or cons of the project?
Good evening. I'm Jerry Parker, attorney for the applicant, Mr. Markowitz, Allen Properties, who's here with me, as well as Brian, our consulting engineer. And it has been indicated, the Lucas County Planning Commission recommended approval of this zoning change, this PUD. Your zoning commission has recommended approval of this PUD, and we had a very beneficial meeting at the zoning commission. There were a number of residents there. We explained what we wanted to do. We explained the price of the lots, the price of the homes in question, the fact that we exceeded twice the open space, the fact that our lots are consistent in size and dimensions with their lots. And it was a very productive and a very, I would say, well-received meeting. What came out of it is that we, consistent with the staff's recommendation from the Lucas County Plan Commission's recommendation, the stub street that was asked for is eliminated here because this area out here is wetlands. We have now a report that clearly indicates it does, so that not only did this stub street, if you were to put it in this direction, go nowhere because this property is serviced by other streets. And in other words, it has another access. This property in all likelihood will never be developed because of the wetlands. You can see the delineation here. So your zoning commission agreed that we could have what amounts to lots 7 and 8. In exchange for that, and what I think is very unusual for any developer, we agreed to put a sidewalk out here to McCord along and within property we don't own. It's an off-site improvement. We did it. The neighbors were happy with it. Your zoning administrator was happy with it. The only condition for that was that, it's in the right-of-way. We don't need the consent of the owner. We can't put that in here if the owner for this property, has a reason to object to it. But absent that, we agreed to that. And we agree with all 33 conditions as set forth in your resolution. It's a nice development. It's going to be a plus to the neighborhood. And the neighbors that I talked to after the meeting were very happy that we were putting these kinds of homes. These are all going to be detached villas, no common wall. The price range are anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000. They'll vary in square footage anywhere from probably 1950 to 2850 in square footage. So they're going to be nice detached villas for empty nesters. Both the lot size and the kind of development is basically consistent with that approach. The lot prices are somewhere between $49,000 and $52,000 apiece. So that'll dictate the quality and the price of the homes themselves. But as you see, we exceed, the whole purpose of a PUD, as you know, is that you create open space in exchange for variances. But here, we're not even asking for common walls, and we are providing double the open space required by your ordinance. It's 31% of the site. So we agree with all the conditions, and we ask the trustees to support both the Lucas County Plan Commission and your own zoning commission, who have recommended approval of the zoning change. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak on behalf of this project?
I have a question for Darrell. Apparently, we don't have coverage calculations to show that they're going to meet the 40% coverage, which, as I read it, is the building and the driveways.
Correct. At this time, we don't have anything. The engineer is here, perhaps, not to put him on the spot, but maybe he...
Well, I guess
No.
what bothers me is that's not in the 33. I don't have trouble with them submitting it at a later date, so we're sure we meet that requirement. But I think that would be 34th condition, or, unless you have that. Do you have the coverage calculations there?
I guess if I could ask Brian Retar with the FWB.
I'm sorry, Brian, last name, please?
Retar,
Retar?
yes. Specifically, what is that coverage that you're referring to? How is that worded? Because
I think you can include, well, I'll let, Darrell, why don't you interpret it rather than me, but it looks to me like you can have your open space in there, but for all the buildings and driveways, instead of the 31%, you're allowed 40% gross acreage. And
Okay,
and because it says gross, I'm assuming, the open space.
yeah, I just read what's in the ordinance or the code for the PUDs, and that's a maximum of 40% coverage of the entire site. Yeah, there's no way we're going to exceed that 40%, considering there's already 30% that's open. We also have the front yard setbacks and rear yard setbacks and side yard setbacks.
Yeah, we just don't have anything that shows us that. So I'd like to be sure that's a condition, an additional condition, so we know you're meeting it. That's
Okay.
my only comment.
It is part of the PUD requirement.
Part of the resolution, I don't have any problem. It's no different than your setbacks. I mean, we have to comply with other specific provisions of your resolution. If you want to add it as a 34th, it's already there. I don't care.
I'm not sure it's there.
I don't think it has to be added, but
Well,
if you want to add, we have to live by that provision that's in your resolution as
yeah,
part of the PUD.
but these won't all be the same building on each lot, will they? Won't the buildings be different on each lot?
But the maximum coverage, as I understand it, can't exceed 40% for the site. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Because as has been indicated by Brian, we've already got 31% open.
Someone want to make a motion?
So, yeah, I guess the question is, are we adding this on or not?
I would like to add it on, just that we get a plan or something for them so we can see that it meets it. I think it's their responsibility to show us that they meet it.
Again, I agree, but if it's in the actual document itself stating that they're going to abide by what the PUD is, why would we want to start adding additional, I mean, we can put it on, I don't care, it's the PUD.
If you don't want it in a condition, I want to be assured.
Well,
We need a layout for the whole subdivision, not each project as they do it. How do we know in the end?
We have no way of knowing where the buildings are.
I get it.
We can't exceed 40% of the site, we know that.
They've got a problem if they do, based on our resolution.
I'll leave it to Darrell.
Darrell, what do you want? What do
I would-
you tell us what you
I
think
would
we...
feel comfortable we'd know it going in so that they don't get down to the end and all of a sudden we've got a couple lots to go.
Well, I would have to sign off on this when it comes around, when the plat comes around anyways. I mean, Brian's right, they have setbacks that they're going to have to adhere to. So just taking those into account, plus the 31% of the open space, I mean, I think they would have an extremely difficult time hitting 40% coverage.
I'll take that as...
Includes the driveways too, right?
Right, it's buildings, driveways, sidewalks.
Well, so you're signing off on it, and you're okay with it, and I just, personally, I just keep it as what the 33 conditions that we have.
I mean, it's not going to hurt to add it, but like Mr. Parker said, it's one of the conditions of our PUD resolution that they would have to adhere to, just like the setbacks or anything else.
I mean, selfishly, I'd rather not start a trend. I mean, not that this is a trend by any means, but you are the zoning manager, and you're, following the way that the code states, and I don't want to, this isn't a trend, but I wouldn't want to do this every month, start adding conditions on something that I don't, quite frankly,
Well,
know enough
typically on
about.
a site plan, it does show the percent coverage. This is unusual that it isn't on there.
Okay.
It's not.
Just rough calculation, 2,500 square foot footprint plus driveway, 13 lots is approximately 1 acre. We have 4 acres, so that's 25% coverage. And we're not going to go much bigger than that in the house. That's just an average.
Well, as long as, okay.
If you want to add it, add it. It's fine.
No,
Well, if you want to add it, then we'll add it then.
no, I don't want to start a,
All right.
I guess I would have,
Stormwater will get them anyway, so.
I would have probably liked to seen it, then we'd have all known. It states it on the drawing.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing on offer resolution 15-021 to approve the zone change from A4 to R2 PUD.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Crandall,
Yes,
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Thank you.
All set, thank you.
Excuse me, next up is the Road and Service Department's monthly report.
Welcome, Bob.
Thank you. Good evening.
By the way, thanks, Darrell. I didn't see.
The monthly report submitted for your review. I'd first like to take a moment and thank the board and thank the administration for their support during my transition, and also thank Greg for his mentorship and transition. Appreciate everything he's done so far and will continue to do. So, without any further ado, the road department's January agenda or monthly report. You can see some ongoing projects in section 1. We began the Villa Storm and Urdor Storm Sewer Extension Project. That's been on hold now due to the weather. We completed the Christmas tree drop-off service. That went pretty well. It looks like that system is working. Completed and did all our inspections for our equipment from leaf season. We had some major repairs, and those parts and stuff have been ordered for next season. Completed the field depot. The lamp post installation was the last piece of that project. That is complete. We did some initial coordinating on a Northbrook project for a culvert extension, and we received all our salt that we purchased from Oregon. That was delivered by our crews, and we did some coordinating with ODOT for our direct salt dump, and that's going well. We did an initial 230-ton dump and scheduled for another 300 dump next week.
Some other notes, projects of note under Section 3, the brush pickup is scheduled and it's on the website, along with the leaf pickup and household pickup, and the spring cleanup, which is just a one-time cleanup. So those all were added to the township website for residents to view.
You guys worked pretty hard on the snow, so you guys held up okay?
Yeah, all the crews are taking a respite right now. We were on 12 hours shifts, running 24-hour operations. We did receive some nice compliments, along with some complaints as well. Some of them justified, some of them, we just weren't able to do anything about at this time. So, without any other questions, that's all I have.
I have a question on the salt usage.
Sure.
I know we're in a conserve mode right now, but like, how much different are we putting it down this year than last year? Because and again, with what we just went through, I think the fact that we're here today is kind of a good thing, but people have been complaining that the roads seem worse than they were last year with as much snow as we had, and I'm just curious if it's not, our salt usage, or have we changed much? I know we've kind of gone lighter on the straightaways, and we still focus on corners and intersections and things like that, but is there a percentage that we're not putting down as much as last year, or?
I don't believe we've changed. Last year, we're operating the same as this year.
Okay.
Last year, we had record snowfalls. I think people were more tolerant. They understood that this initial 12 inches of snow came and didn't stop till it was over with. So the process of getting the salt on the ground and through the hard pack once it's drove on, it takes a little time. They worked around the clock, scraping and salting. At certain points during the operation, the salt is no useful value to throw on the ground because it's being covered up and the temperatures are so cold that it's not effective. And then we come back by and just plow the salt off the road. So during certain times of the operation, people may see the hard pack on the road, and then we'll come by later and salt, and that's what's, during the day, generally it starts breaking up, and we can get the slush off the road. But as far as the operation as how we use the salt is consistent with how we did it last year.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Anything for the fire department?
No.
Fire department, do you have anything to bring up? Police department, anything for Chief Blumey? Chief Blumey, you have anything? Next up is administrator, and I have, as you recall, in our last meeting, we talked about requesting a speed study for Mitchell Road, and in front of you I have a resolution 1509, which if passed, I will forward to the county engineer, requesting him to do a speed limit study between Sylvania Metamora and Sylvania Avenue on Mitchell Road. And this would be the first step in seeing if we can get the speed limit reduced on Mitchell.
I'll offer Resolution 15-019 to request a speed limit study for Mitchell Road.
Second.
And that would be from Sylvania Metamora to Sylvania Avenue?
Correct. It's in the resolution.
2 mile
Yes.
section.
Maybe just take it to the state line?
Well, it's only 25 miles an hour
30.
over on that side.
35.
Is it?
35.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
North of Sylvania Metamora, it's 35.
Okay.
Okay, we'll call the roll. Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Next up is the fiscal officer, Mr. Simco.
Yes, I just have one resolution, and it's to approve a then and now purchase certificate. I think you see it there, and what we had is as I understand, we had a repair at station number 2, some repairs that needed to be done there, and then we turned it into insurance, and we, rather than advance the monies and get the money back, we just kind of waited until the insurance payment came in. Repair company was fine with it, but we didn't end up paying it until just recently in that, after the year, in January. So it's this $4,000 repair. I'm not sure what the nature of it was, and I know it was on number 2.
It was roofing.
Roofing, okay. And it's fixed now, I take it, since we,
So it was not covered by insurance?
it was covered. Was
Is it our
covered.
deductible?
No, this was no, they paid the insurance check to us, and then we're forwarding the
Oh.
check off.
Okay.
Kind of roundabout way here,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Did the insurance pay the full amount, or do we know?
Mine is deductible and depreciation, like all of mine.
No, Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Sounds like a guy that sells insurance.
Yes, yeah.
What was, does this cover the full amount?
I'll offer Resolution 15-022, approve a then and now certificate for the repairs of Fire Station Number 2.
Second?
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall,
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Any open discussion? Okay, and then hearing of the public for non-agenda items? Is Brian Murphy in by chance? Brian, come on up. Thanks for coming.
All right, so basically, I don't usually come here, but,
Introduce yourself.
Brian Murphy, live in the Sylvania Township in the St. James Woods. Basically, the reason why I'm here, Sunday, I know there was a level 3 snow emergency, and I know that nobody had come out in my neighborhood to plow the roads at all, so I still, next day, around whatever time it was, noon, it was announced level 2, so I'm a county employee, so I was reported to go to work, so I immediately text my supervisor saying I'm 90% sure I'm going to get stuck trying to get out of my own neighborhood because there's still 12 inches of snow on my road. So I put the shovel in my car because the response I got was, if you need to call in sick, here's the number you need to dial to get to it. So I got in my car, put the shovel in there, got stuck 10 feet outside of my house, so I had to shovel myself out at the stop sign, and was able to eventually navigate myself out. At 2 o'clock, my wife leaves. She comes back and gets stuck at 2:30. So, and then at 4:30, my shift's over, work's done. I called the Sylvania Township and Fire and explained, look, I contacted my wife. I know that if I return home, I'm going to get stuck trying to get back to my house because I know the roads aren't plowed in my neighborhood. So at around 5 o'clock, I get stuck trying to get back into my house, and basically at around like 7 o'clock, I'm walking around my neighborhood to see how bad it still is. And SUV is stuck in my neighborhood, so I'm pushing that thing out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, so at about 8 o'clock, I sent a message to the county sheriff saying, hey, look, I contacted the Sylvania Township and Fire myself once, my wife once. We haven't gotten a response. And he was like, well, what's the name of your street? I'm like, I've already, and he'd report it. I was like, well, you don't need to do that. I've already reported my street. What you need to call in is the entire St. James Woods area, because none of it's plowed. And that's basically why I'm here.
Appreciate your comments. Rob, can you help us out?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, I'd like to thank him, Mr. Murphy, for pointing it out. It was brought to our attention roughly Monday morning that the St. James area was difficult to navigate. At that time, we dispatched someone over there that was normally in that route to go ahead and leave the area he was in and go see what he could do to make sure the area was being taken care of. This individual employee has been on the job for 2 years. This is his second plow year with us, and he apparently has had some difficulties for this route. Some of the areas were missed in St. James during his first iteration. And because of the snowfall amounts and how quick it came down, it did appear that some of the streets, or a lot of the streets in that vicinity, were not plowed. So my foreman called me at home and told me that he was receiving calls from dispatch that there was a lot of complaints from the St. James area. So we just came up with a game plan and decided to take 3 vehicles, 3 trucks from different locations that their areas were looking better, and we dispatched them solely into St. James area. 2 of them entered off of King Road and 1 entered off of McCord. And it took roughly 4 hours to complete the whole St. James area, to include up to, the Central Avenue, up to Central Avenue, some of those subdivisions that are attached as well. So I do apologize for that. We are going to take corrective action on the employee. We're going to give him some additional training, make sure he's aware of the routes, and hopefully this will solve the problem. If that suffices your questioning.
I have a question. When the county declares a level 3, do we mandate or ask residents to pull their cars off of the streets for being parked? I mean, not that, I mean, obviously if we didn't hit it, it doesn't matter, but I could see if the cars were cleared in there, it would go a little quicker and smoother.
And it would. Lucas County Sheriffs determined the levels, and they put that out through their departments, and the road department does not enforce that. It would be Sylvania Township Police Department that would have to enforce it. We do occasionally call when a vehicle is blocking the road so severe that we cannot pass, and they do respond to those. And a lot of time we get them resolved within 4 or 5 hours of contacting the homeowner.
I'm not in favor of enforcing anything, but if we had something out there, like if an article by Mr. Jones or something might imply or recommend to the residents to pull their cars into a driveway during a level 3 or even 2, or Mr. Bowman, or Chief Bowman, you got a...
I think you bring up a good idea, and actually, when I was home Sunday, I saw it scrolled across the bottom, and if you notice, like, Sylvania City does it a lot, White House, Waterville, those places. I think it was discussed at some point before, but I don't know if it would take a resolution or what, but we could put it on websites, we could contact the local media and that sort of thing and get it out there, but it's never been done in the township, just like it's never been done with Springfield Township or whatever either. So I don't know what has to take place governmentally to be able to do that, but I think it'd help them do their job, and we'd probably get less calls and stuff. So, I think it's a great idea. I just don't know what we have to do to formally start the process.
Even a strong recommendation by us or something would be...
I'll research it and see. There might be something in the level 3 designation to get cars off the street. I'll check it out, and if not, we will make sure we put it on our website, scrolling, and get the news media in the future.
Yeah, John, you might be able to, I don't know if we have contact, St. James, I think, has a pretty good homeowners association.
Yeah.
And maybe the homeowners association, or maybe if we, I don't know if we have any connection to those folks other than our website, but reminding them too, and then sometimes they put out newsletters and stuff to their neighbors, reminding them about stuff, and that might be one thing. It's just another means of communication.
Right.
Yes. You could see how, like even on my street, on any of our residential streets, if you have a few cars and there's a lot of snow and those guys jig-jogging around there trying to get through there, it's tough.
Yeah.
But if they could get them up, I mean, we didn't get there, so we understand that.
Yes.
But still, you can get through there quicker if they would get them up, and maybe, and most homeowners would probably want to do it because they want their street clean.
Right.
They just aren't thinking,
I'll research how to get it out. Plus, while you're speaking, I thought we can also put out on our alert, when there's a level 3, we can then put our own alert out.
Right.
Please remove your cars from the street if possible
Right,
for the plows. So.
I mean, we got to remember to get there, like you're saying, and all that, but still, once we get there, it makes it go quicker,
Brian, thanks for coming. Good conversation on our end. We learned something tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you. There's nobody else signed in, so with that being said...
Did you have the one from before?
That was Jerry Parker.
Oh.
Yeah. I'd like to close our meeting and go into executive session to consider the employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee or official, as authorized by the Ohio Revised Code 121.22. All non-union compensation.
Second.
Calling the roll, Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
6.
Second.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Huh.